everyone wants to be Batman. Batman has no superpowers, no radioactive spider bite, no alien from another planet, no magic ring, just a man, a cave, and a choice. That's exactly why, out of every superhero ever created, Batman is the one people genuinely want to become. Not because of the suit, not because of the gadgets, because of his mindset. Everything Batman became was built by discipline, resilience, and relentless self-control. The same qualities every human being is capable of developing. Today, we're not exploring Batman's history, we're exploring the psychology behind him, and why the reason you admire Batman might say more about you than you think. Every Batman story begins the same way, with a fall. A young Bruce Wayne falls into an abandoned well, surrounded by hundreds of bats. Darkness, panic, fear. That single moment could have defined the rest of his life. He could have spent decades avoiding caves, darkness, and everything that reminded him of that day. Instead, he chose the opposite. Psychologists say fear isn't really about danger. It's about uncertainty. Your brain rarely fears the thing itself. It fears not knowing what happens next. That's why speaking in front of strangers feels terrifying, even though driving a car is statistically far more dangerous. One feels unpredictable, the other feels familiar. Bruce Wayne didn't eliminate his fear. He confronted it, again and again, until fear stopped controlling him. Eventually, he became the very thing that once terrified him. That's Batman's first lesson. Whatever you're avoiding today, a difficult conversation, an opportunity, a challenge, or a decision, isn't always dangerous. Most of the time, it's simply unfamiliar, and familiarity can only be built by facing it, one step at a time. Then came the moment that changed everything. A dark alley, a desperate criminal, 2 gunshots, and a child forced to watch both of his parents die. Psychologists describe moments like this as a rupture in the assumptive world. It's the moment when a person's deepest belief that the world is safe and life is predictable shatters forever. For many people, trauma becomes a lifelong burden. Some never escape it. Others spend years asking, "Why did this happen to me?" Bruce Wayne asked a different question. What do I do now? That single question changed his future. Every hour he trained, every skill he mastered, every night he spent protecting Gotham was his answer. He refused to let the worst day of his life become the final chapter. And that's something many successful people have in common. Their pain didn't disappear. They simply transformed it into purpose. The experience that could have destroyed them became the reason they kept moving forward. Batman teaches us something powerful. Pain doesn't have to disappear before it becomes useful. Sometimes, the very thing that broke you becomes the thing that builds you. Most people believe Batman's greatest strength is his money. It isn't. There are plenty of wealthy people in Gotham. None of them become Batman. His greatest power is something much rarer: self-control. Every criminal Batman fights acts on impulse. Anger, greed, revenge, fear, immediate reactions. Batman doesn't. Even when standing face to face with the man responsible for destroying his childhood, he refuses to cross the line. He controls himself. Psychology calls this delayed gratification, the ability to resist immediate emotion in favor of long-term purpose. Decades of research suggest this trait predicts success more consistently than talent or intelligence. Not because disciplined people are stronger, but because they stay consistent when emotions tell them to quit. Today's world constantly attacks this ability. Notifications, short-form entertainment, instant purchases, instant opinions, instant rewards, everything encourages immediate reactions, which makes self-control more valuable than ever. Discipline doesn't look exciting. It rarely gets applause. But over time, it quietly separates ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. Now here's something many people overlook. Batman's villains aren't just enemies, they're reflections. The Joker, Two-Face, Scarecrow. Nearly every major villain experienced suffering, loss, fear, or trauma, just like Bruce Wayne. The difference isn't what happened to them. The difference is the story they told themselves afterward. Batman decided, if I suffered, I'll make sure others don't. His enemies decided, if I suffered, the world deserves to suffer too. Same pain, completely different conclusion. That's why Batman's greatest battles were never truly physical. They were philosophical. Every fight asked the same question. When life breaks you, who do you become? So why does Batman continue to inspire millions of people decades after his creation? Because deep down, His story isn't really about superheroes. It's about human potential. You don't need a billionaire's fortune. You don't need advanced technology. You don't need a hidden cave beneath your house. You already have fears. You already carry disappointments. You already face moments every single day where you can either react emotionally or respond with discipline. Batman reminds us that greatness isn't something you're born with. It's something you practice. Every difficult decision, every uncomfortable conversation, every morning you choose consistency instead of excuses. You're building the same qualities that made Bruce Wayne become Batman. Not physically, mentally. Batman was never extraordinary because he had money. He was extraordinary because a broken child made 3 decisions. His fear would become courage, his pain would become purpose, and his discipline would become his identity. He didn't wait for life to become fair. He didn't wait until he felt ready. He simply chose the kind of person he wanted to become, and then spent every single day becoming that person. The cape was never the source of his power. Neither was the cave, or the fortune. His greatest weapon was the person he decided to become. And maybe that's the only part of Batman any of us ever needed to imitate. If this changed the way you see Batman, the next chapter is even more fascinating. The incredible journey of how Batman evolved from comic book pages to becoming one of the greatest cinematic icons in history.